graduation celebration. Once again, give yourselves all a wonderful round of applause for making it this possible. I am, of course, Dr. Robert Green II, the lead instructor for the Modjeska Simkins School of Human Rights as well. Thank you. I really do appreciate that. And today we are here to celebrate each and every one of you for completing this year's edition of the Modjeska Simkins School of Human Rights. Of course, the school, since its founding in 2015, has been about making the truth true, teaching the grassroots history of the Palmetto State. As I've said before, and I'll say again today and years to come doing this school, what this school is about is making it clear to each and every one of us here in the room and those on Zoom and folks throughout the state and throughout the country that the state of South Carolina is about much more than the John C. Calhouns, the Ben Tillmans, the James Burns, and the Lindsey Grahams of the world. This state is also about the Robert Smalls and the Modjeska Simkins and Septima Clarks and the Robert Elliots of the world. Men and women who have fought tirelessly for civil and human rights since the founding of this state as a colony in the late 17th century. Yeah. And yes, and in a sense, by completing this class, what you are also saying is that you are also a part of that long struggle for human rights in the Palmetto State. You are not content to simply sit on the sidelines of history. You are encouraged to actually take part in making history, in making what John Lewis referred to as good trouble. Because folks, we need some good trouble right now. We need some good trouble these days in the year of our Lord, 2025. Just this week, in fact, Supreme Court has made it clear that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution is under serious threat. Just in the last 6 months alone, we have had conversations about rights and regulations that we once all took for granted that are now all under serious threat. That's the bad news. The good news is that it's up to men and women like yourselves to fight back against this oncoming tide of fascism. And by God, we're going to beat that tide and beat it back big time. But knowing how to defeat that tide means knowing a bit about our state and our nation's history. And that's what you all have learned through the Modjeska Simkins School of Human Rights. As you can see, of course, we are setting up some extra chairs. I think this is for the graduates from the Penn Center who are also joining us this afternoon. But again, welcome to the Modjeska Simkins School of Human Rights graduation ceremonies. We've got a great program going this afternoon for all of you today. And of course, don't forget at the end, we'll have plenty of food and drink and celebration for everyone. So first we have to get through our graduation festivities. And I'll just make it clear, you know, this is not like your high school or college graduation where we call your name, you come up, get your diploma, and then you just go off and shuffle to wherever you go off to shuffle to. Instead, we want to make sure that you have some time to talk about what the class means to you. So when you come up and get your diploma, you'll have about 30 seconds or so to talk about what the class means to you. And this is really an important part of the Modjeska graduation because we really do want to hear from you guys what the class actually means. It's not enough for me as a historian to simply stand here and teach and lecture and all of that. What makes the Modjeska Simkins School so special are the students who take the school. The fact that you've taken weeks out of your life to learn from us this year. The fact that you sacrifice your Monday nights to come here and to learn and commiserate with all of us. Because let me tell you something. I gave up watching baseball and pro wrestling to do this every Monday night. So I know that you all are also giving up a lot on Monday nights to come here as well. And so again, congratulations. We're going to go ahead and get the ceremony started. The first part of our graduation celebration we're going to begin with is a spoken word performance from Mr. Hassan Bird. And Brett is going to introduce Mr. Bird because he has a personal story about Mr. Bird's life.
All my
Brett?
stories are personal,
Well,
Robert.
yes, there.
My life is an open book. The FBI has it. We're going to hear from Hassan Bird, who's an exemplary young revolutionary that I'm hoping some of you younger people can, or older people can take as a model, because we have to do things, and Hassan has figured out a way to do things. Where'd Hassan go? Or he's still here? Come in here, Hassan. Becky and I met Hassan when he was 9 pounds old. And so we've been watching him grow up, and it's a really good model. His mother is somebody that has been on progressive boards with us since the early 90s. And so we've had the occasion to know that Hassan is rocking North Carolina with his spoken word. And so I think that you'll be touched. He is not intending to make you cry or bleed, but to inspire you. And he's going to be at Penn Center doing a workshop on how you can do stuff at October 31, November 1. Hassan Bird.
Hey.
My name is Hassan. I'm a writer, artist, creative, organizer. I'm just a guy, you know? I'm a little nervous. I was told that we're gonna start now, you feel me? I'm gonna give y'all a little bit, and then after y'all all go and celebrate yourselves, we'll come back to it and close it out. Is that cool? That being said, we're all here together. I'm feeling generous, so we're gonna do it like this. Barbecue or trees? Trees? That's good. That's a good choice. Sometimes I give an option. I wasn't really sure which one I wanted to do first, so I'm cool to, you know. You already chosen. You one that said trees. Okay, you trust it in your spirit. It's too late. The decision was made. That time has passed. We're done. All right. The tree calls me from its concrete cage across the sidewalk to ask for directions. It wants to know where the forest is. I tell it where to go. It thanks me. We chat, comment on the weather, changes in the scenery. There's a new neighborhood in town, but it's still the same trash getting washed into the creek. Eventually, he says he has somewhere to be. I ask him how he will get there. He says slow and steady. I believe him. I learned a long time ago to recognize a dreamer. Someone who believes in themselves more than they believe in the reality that they have been planted in. I imagine that tree dreams of being rooted in open earth, feeling grounded with the plants around it, connected beneath the surface. I know he gets lonely. Everyone who used to live on this street is gone, grown up or grown on, or not so gently nudged away by the wisdom and property value. But that tree told me that one thing is for certain. Seasons change, and this ain't the first time he's seen these streets shift colors. It probably won't be the last. Trees are quite conversational if you ever have time to listen. My friend has a tree in her backyard that loves history and hates to see the nature around him dying. She says that trees are a grieving folk, constantly having to reconcile the death of those around them. I can relate. I know what it is like to watch your kind getting chopped down constantly, carved into fuel for someone else's fire. I wonder why it is so difficult for us to manage these things. Why we're so quick to clear cut trees without a thought on conservation. Why people shave our earth clean of them as if we don't need them to breathe. Cage them in concrete caskets on city streets and call it acceptable. Call it development. Open brand new shiny ways of living, but never think about fishing the plastic rat out the creek. We just consume, throw things away and never blink, trash our oceans and never clean. There are several state-sized patches of garbage in the, there are several state-sized patches of garbage in the Pacific that never sink, but you'd be surprised to know what they are doing to the trees. I try not to litter, try to leave this world a better place than I found it, and wonder why it is so hard for the people that came before me. Wonder why we waste so much food and kill our sky and kill each other and cage our kids. And it's not even all of us killing the earth, but none of us ever stand up to those who is. I am trying to be the change I want to see in the world. I still recycle, me and my bag of water bottles up against all the corporate giants pumping factory fumes into our skies and toxic waste in our rivers. And when it rains, the sewage from careless companies floods into neighborhoods that look like mine. Nobody says a word. Nobody says a word, but I think about all the words all the time, all the things that have died to fuel our hunger, all the things we will consume before we realize we are still starving. I think about how many of us will be cut down for paper, will be left alone, disconnected from everything we are supposed to be, looking for direction. I think about trees trapped in concrete caskets and the force of will that it will take them to root their way out of the mess that is being made of this planet. The Amazon is on fire, whole jungles are burning, and we pretend not to hear a sound. But one day, we'll all be too busy gasping for air to wish we had said something. Maybe one day, after we're all gone, each tree will finally free itself from the bondage we have poured around it. Maybe their roots will find a way to push through the cement and hold on to each other again. I wonder what they will dream about in the meantime. That's one.
Yeah.
So one thing I will say about that poem is that I misspoke. There are plenty of people saying things and doing things about it, and that includes all the people in this room. So I appreciate y'all, all right? Two, I'm gonna reintroduce myself, right? I'm from Greensboro / Raleigh, North Carolina. And so I perform a lot, right? And sometimes like we have to figure out how to do this together. When people get up on the stage, they give you like their heart, their mind, their soul. Y'all are gonna get up after me, y'all are gonna give y'all's experiences and lessons that y'all learned over the course of this. When we do that, it's helpful when you're up here to like receive the energy that you give out, right? So I'm gonna keep giving energy, and if y'all hear something that like really resonates with you, or that you feel, or that makes you think, or anything, feel free to like make a noise, or snap, or ooh, or ah, or clap, or stomp your feet, or just give that energy back so we can continue to exchange with each other, right? I'm feeling like I'm gonna do this differently than I was planning to. So I'm gonna do this next. Lately, I've been feeling lost in the land of the free. Been looking for freedom inside of my dreams, but I know when I find it that I'm still asleep. I've been searching for traces while I'm awake, but they don't want us tasting it till we deceased. Still, I'm looking for peace in the land of the slave. In spite of the pain, my people's oppression is fuel to my flame, so what can I change if I drown in my rage? There's a lot of things I gotta contain, so I put my emotions all down on the page. They want me to choke on my breath, so I use it to write when I hit the stage. I'm at the age where I look at my phone and I know it's a chain. Unless it's a tool, I look at the news and I know it's a show that they use for their war. They say it's a war. It's always a war. We learn that in school. I go with the flow and stick to my guns. They always go for the low-hanging fruit. I could do the same, but it goes against my brain, so I stick to my roots. They say the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, right? Really, they bury their shame by stealing our truth, right? Really, the bigger the scene, the deeper the ruse, right? It's all an illusion they put to their use, right? We need to stop flocking and build up a roost, right? They've been killing the gambler and blaming the goose, right? The brighter the future, the tighter the noose, because they're drinking the juice that they squeeze from our fruit. It's all of our youth, feeling lost in the land of the free, looking for freedom inside of their dreams. Don't let them find you and lull you to sleep. But loving your blood isn't something they want you to keep. They want you to spill all your dreams on the side of the street. Before they sweep you aside like some leaves in a place they don't want you to be. There's a lot of places they don't want you to be. Paid and free, with stability, seeing the day where we not enslaved by their greed. There's a lot of things that they don't want you to see. How easy everything can be if they didn't buy your time and then charge you a fee just to borrow you from peace. Do you know the price of your soul? Or the worth of your goals? Because there's a whole lot of heights they don't want us to reach, but we are the clouds and we are the rain. Water and wind is hard to contain. Soil is brown and so is our skin, so I know we were made for growth and for change. I look at my soul and I know it's a flame. I hope you can see. I hope that it's warm when you stand next to me. And if it's not, I hope when you leave, you stumble upon what you needed the most, because it might not be me. I understand. I know how it goes. See, we're not the same, but I done been drained and I done been low. And I pray when we stand on this floor and give each other our souls, it fills us with hope, eh? All right, I appreciate y'all. One more moment.
Belgium.
All right, so again, as I said before, this is not your typical graduation ceremony. Another round of applause for Mr. Hassan Burr. That was wonderful, and I think that gave us a lot to think about, both for today and for the days and months and years to come. So we're going to go ahead now and shift gears to our keynote speaker, Dr. Robert Adams, who is the executive director of the Penn Center, which was called by the late John Hope Franklin the most important African-American organization in the country. Dr. Adams, of course, has been leading the Penn Center for the last 2 years or so, and he has really steered the course for the Penn Center in recent years, making it clear that its mission is once again making a difference in the lives of folks both here in South Carolina and throughout the country. Dr. Adams comes to us with a background in anthropology and the humanities, and I am deeply thrilled that he has become part of the Modjeska Simkins School of Human Rights team for this year. Again, we are starting a partnership with the Penn Center, with Sumter, and hopefully with other sites throughout the state in years to come, where we're doing satellite versions of our course that folks can watch all across the state, thanks to the technology of the 21st century. Ladies and gentlemen, give Dr. Robert Adams a wonderful Modjeska School round of applause.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, congratulations on graduating from this wonderful program. I'm so proud of everyone that participated and honored to have spent some time throughout the course with all of you. I learned a lot from you. I was also inspired by you. And I just wanted to share some important insights that I'm calling 10 things I know for sure. Wisdom from Modjeska, Simkins, and friends. And what I'll do is go through these 10 things and have some sort of quotes that go with them, just to kind of remind us of kind of what I think came out of our experience together, our journey together. First and foremost, I understand from the time we spent together that we are the ones that we've been waiting for. That Modjeska Simkins was not a solitary or singular eruption of the search for Black freedom. She was a link in a long chain of freedom seekers. And we have to make sure that we don't allow that chain to be broken, that we continue the tradition. And I know from listening to the questions, listening to the experience of South Carolina and the larger American history that we thought about and reflected on, that we are central to moving this battle forward. And I'm excited that there are so many people that are rooted in this vision of freedom to move it forward. So that's lesson number one that I've brought away from the class. The second lesson is understand the time. We're in unprecedented times, but at the same time, it is circular time. And what I mean is that time, see, this is a unique eruption of time, but it seems like we keep going from crisis to crisis. But to remember that Walter Benjamin, the Jewish German critic, one of his last essays, Thesis on the Philosophy of History, said, "The tradition of the oppressed teaches us that the state of emergency in which we live is not an exception, but the rule." So that it's about reframing our mindset and understanding that crisis is part of the process of trying to keep us in shackles and oppressed. Our job is to see through those crises and to take them as opportunities to create change. And that sort of brings me to a third point, which is speak your truth. And I'm here rooted in this idea of Ms. Simkins talking about until the silent majority takes over from the vocal minority, nothing in this state will change. I heard during our conversations, during our classes, the silent majority giving voice to a vision of freedom, 2025. I heard them giving voice to a freedom of 2026. And I hope that people that are graduating from this course continue to be and give voice to that vision of freedom, that they won't take no for an answer, that they won't take let's live in 1950 as an answer for what the future is, that they won't take this idea that you don't exist, you don't matter. Um, None of that will be heard, but we will continue to articulate our sense of belonging, our sense of leadership, our sense of uh, this belonging to us. Because in the end, we can't fall for the tricks of folks that want to sort of marginalize and make us invisible. We're not invisible. We're very visible. We're very present. We're very ready to take power. And each generation, and it's another thing that Benjamin said, each generation is born with a weak messianic power. And our job is to step into the light, is to step into our power and to make the change that we inherited, the movement that we inherited from our ancestors, and to never stop doing that. And part of that is, again, like speaking the truth. This can only be done when we set our mind on freedom, when we don't allow ourselves to be discouraged, that we don't wake up thinking that there's some other job that we have to do. We have to set our mind on freedom. Um, Modjeska said, start each sunrise as a new day. Start out believing that there's good to be done and people to do it for. As we went through this class together, I understood, I uh, received a bunch of new friends, a bunch of new colleagues that always were there that I just hadn't figured out yet. And this course gave us the opportunity to discover ourselves, to see ourselves, to hear ourselves, and to be understand that we're not in this struggle alone. And that to make sure that in Sumter, in Columbia, in other parts of the state, here at Penn, that we are working collectively, because when we work together, we create new possibilities. You know, the 1 + 1 = 3, but we have to bring our ones together. We have to bring our collective voices together. We have to bring our power together, because that is the way that we move mountains, is in community. And I think that's the thing. So, and then part of another thing that comes from when we set our minds on freedom is deciding to do the work. And this work is tireless. It don't offer no rest, you know. It doesn't offer, you know, a lot of opportunity for lollygagging. You know, this is about suiting up every day, understanding what's at stake. This is a life or death struggle for us. This is, you know, and the crisis that we're in the middle of today only shows the attack on healthcare, the attack on our ability to vote, the attack on our ability to hear our own histories, be woven into the mosaic of the American experience, the experience of making sure that we belong in participatory democracy, that the democracy isn't something that is forced on us, but it's something that we make and that we own, that we are co-authors. We have to exercise our agency. That agency will only come about through the work itself. And taking these lessons that we've been hearing from Dr. Green and others, from Brett, will allow us to do this work and to take our freedom. And understanding, again, number 6 is we're not just doing civil rights. Civil rights is a component of what should be a struggle for human rights, human dignity. That is what I take from Modjeska Simkins. As she said, I believe fighting against injustice. Black, Indian, Chicano, Mexican American, it doesn't matter to me. We have to remember that our struggles are interrelated, overlapping, and that we as people are together as one. And then if we come together, if we can see past our slight differences, our phenotypic, our geographic, our economic differences, we can be a powerful force for change and for radical systemic change. But doing this work, speaking our truth, setting our mind on freedom, also underscores the idea that we have to be willing to pay the price. There's a cost to be the boss, as James Brown said, right? We have to be willing to, as we know, willing to pay the cost of struggle, willing to pay the cost of moving things forward, willing to sacrifice for the collective good. That I take that as from the Simkins. And I'm just reminded of her quote. I'm not going to say there hasn't been change. I'm saying that it all came as a result of struggle. The power structure doesn't give anything to anybody. Know that blood, sweat, and tears is the cost for freedom. Understand that that is what we have to dedicate ourselves to. But even though this is a costly battle, this is a battle that we can't turn away from. We got to make sure that as we engage in the work, we let our moral light shine. We let our divine nature guide us. And so, as she says, I cannot be bought and I will not be sold. There are too many people that are writing small checks in this world that are asking us to sell out our values, our vision of freedom for pennies on the dollar. We have to make sure that what we are seeking in the tradition of, in the legacy of Modjeska Simkins is priceless. There's no paper currency, no coin can substitute for what we as a people need in terms of our human freedom. And we have to continue to search for that. Too often the marketplace is asking us to sell out, to cut corners, to sell ourselves short so somebody else can have a $50 million wedding on a 600-foot yacht somewhere. We got to make sure that's not the real equation. It's not about a small number of people getting richer. It's about humanity moving forward and being able to collectively solve our problems. Another thing that I would say, number 9, is hold on. It's easy in these moments of chaos, in all this discomfort, to lose hope, in this moment of despair, to sort of get discouraged. Our job is to remain positive, continue to see the glass as half full, and continue to move forward. We are making strides, and here again, I come back to Walter Benjamin, who says the concept of progress must be grounded in the idea of catastrophe. And that is understanding that in moments of chaos, in moments of catastrophe, there is also opportunity for critical reframing, windows of opportunity for systemic change so that we can move things forward. So we have to prepare ourselves for those moments where things seem upside down, but that are actually rich with possibilities of change, possibilities of and hope to redo things. But we as leaders and as freedom fighters have to be prepared to hold on with hope in the face of despair, hope as a medicine to keep leading forward. Um, and then finally, I'll say that number 10 is we must be willing to pay the cost. I know I said that earlier, but I'm going to reiterate it here because I do believe that um, understanding the dynamics of the freedom struggle, understanding what one has to sacrifice is important for those moments when you get a little weary, for when you get a little bit tired and overwhelmed. And I think back, there are days here at the Penn Center where, I wonder, man, this is a big job, this is a big challenge, and the larger forces around us. But I think back to Dr. King sitting on the bed in Gant Cottage saying he wants to give up, and it's okay to express those kind of feelings that I'm weary. I don't know if I can do it. But again, is to remember what, Ms. Simkins said is that, wake up each day and start anew. And to remember that we'll have those periods of hopelessness, but that we'll have to figure out how to reinvent ourselves, re-energize ourselves, recommit ourselves to freedom. And again, she says we must pay the world for the space we take. And the freedom struggle is nothing but taking space, taking the space that we deserve as human beings, that we demand, we have to demand, because we live in a system that is unwilling to give us the space that we were born into, that's unwilling to yield space that is required for us to have the collective moral prosperity that God demands from this world, right? And so we have to be willing to pay that cost that goes from there. And so those are the things that, as I've thought through what the journey we've been on together and the journeys to come, that each of us has made a commitment through this work to work together, to dream together, to struggle together, to create the world that we want to see. And so I really appreciate and honor each and every one of you for all the brilliance, wonderful spirit, and sense of vision that you all have brought to this course. I definitely thank Dr. Green, Brett, and everyone else that put this course together, and people like Candace on our side who helped to sort of organize and manage this to bring us to this place of graduation. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you as you turn these certificates into battle cries for the battles ahead. So with that, I will turn it over to everyone else, and congratulations.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Adams. Again, as I said before, this is not your typical graduation ceremony. Here at the Modjeska Simkins School, as we've said before, this is not just about learning the history of South Carolina. It is about learning how to make a difference in the here and now in South Carolina. And before we get to handing out diplomas, I want to add one other thing. Just this week, to show you how the school affects folks in different ways. I was fortunate enough to attend a poetry reading by Taylor Simon, who was a 2024 graduate of the class. She runs Liberation is Lit, an independent bookstore in town. And if you go to like Soda City or any events in town revolving around book festivals and the like, you'll see Taylor. Well, in her latest collection of poems, Black Madonnas, in her acknowledgement section, she says that she acknowledges and gives thanks to the Modjeska Simkins School of Human Rights. Why? Because she wrote a good bit of her poetry in the class last year. Now, I told her afterwards that when I was teaching the class last year, I noticed she was writing a lot. And I thought to myself at the time, I don't think she's just taking notes. You know, if she is, she's taking some rather copious notes. And she reassured me she was taking notes as well. But if you get the book Black Madonnas by Taylor Simon, it has been inspired in part by the Modjeska School. So I thought Becky would like to hear that in particular because of your love of the arts and of poetry and the like. So now is the moment we've all been waiting for, the celebration of your graduation from the Modjeska Simkins School of Human Rights. And let's make one thing very clear here. This is the first time, really since orientation, where so many of us have been in the same room physically at one time. We have folks here from Pinson. We have folks here from Sumter. We have folks who've only been on Zoom this entire semester. And of course, we have folks who've been in the Grow Building the entire year, who at this point are probably tired of seeing my face. So this is the last time you'll see me with the Modjeska School this year. So congratulations for that too. So first, we're going to start with the folks from the Penn Center who traveled several hours to join us this afternoon. And again, this is part of an exciting collaboration with the Penn Center. So when I call your name, please come on up. Your diploma will be up here. I hand you the diploma. Thomas here is also taking photos of me handing off the diploma. So please don't run off so I hand it to you. And again, you'll have about 30 seconds or so to a minute to talk about your experience in the class and what the class meant to you. Okay, yes.
The pins over there, each one of the graduates gets one of those beautiful little pins, so everybody knows that you're like official.
All right.
So when you get your certificate, go ahead and pick up a pin,
All right.
and you're the only ones that have them.
So those will be a special collector's item, aka will get you on at least a couple of FBI watch lists. As I've always said before, I'll say again, I digress. All right, so first name I want to call up is Tonya Cohen Jackson. Tonya Cohen Jackson.
Miss Tanya isn't here today. I'm going to accept this on her behalf. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll make sure to get the pin thing as well. All right, up next is Miss Bernadette Hampton. Bernadette Hampton.
Bernadette started 7 years ago. She just went.
All right, that's great.
Good evening. Good afternoon. My name is Bernadette Hampton, and this class has been, it's been a very comprehensive course, very enriching, and I have enjoyed the relationships that I've made with the friends at Penn and listening to the perspectives of everybody online and in person. And it's been gratifying and frustrating at the same time to know that the structures that have been made in this state remains intact from one generation to the next. But I am looking forward to working toward changing that.
All right, up next, Sabrina Green Johnson. Sabrina Green Johnson.
Thank you.
Up next, Mary Ann Mason. Mary Ann Mason.
Okay, can I do this?
Sure thing. This is my phone. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so you already know my name and where I'm from. I actually decided to take this class on a whim. I had nothing to do and it looked like it was interesting. However, After the first one, it was like, oh boy. This is what I need as a jump start, because I do have to do something. That's it. That's it. I gotta do something. And I'm glad that I had the opportunity to get the education. So now I gotta use it.
All right. Up next is Inez Miller. Inez Miller. All right, I'm ready. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much, Penn Center, and to the South Carolina Progressive Network, to all the presenters that came to do presentations for us in a time in St. Helena back in the 1970s, where I graduated from Beaufort High School. We didn't get much history, including Black history, but I got a lot of information here today. Just like my classmate back there said, Miss Marianne, after the first class, you wanted to continue to come. I got a notebook full of notes after each class. I was just writing up a stone. And I am anxious to know when the next class is. I am so proud of this young lady, Miss Modjeska Simkins School, and her information that she brings to us through all of you. And like I said, again, all the presenters. I plan to help with voters registration. Again, I was going to give up on that. Young people think that it is not important to vote, but it is. They say my vote didn't count. Harris didn't win. I helped with Bakari Sellers campaign. I helped with so many. We went knocking on doors. I'm trying to think of who else. Clemente, the late Clemente Pinckney. When my daughter was a young girl, she's 31 years old now. And I'm avid on her voting. She lives in North Carolina. I make sure she does that process and she makes sure it's carried through. Think out of the box when you try to get people to vote. I go to juke joints at night, staying up until after 10, not going to bed after Wheel of Fortune, and thinking about places that young people go to so I can catch them at the bootleggers. They're still out there too. And asking them first if I may have permission to speak to the people that's out in their yards so that I can register them. And I got quite a few, more than just sitting out on the corner. And you can't just sit behind a desk. Go to these festivals, be a part of the information to give to the crowd. Go to these young people and ask them, are they registered? I work for a chain store and I'll ask them, are you registered to vote? They say, oh, well, I don't live here. I came to get baby diapers. I say, come on now, it's important. It counts. We had to count marbles in a jar. Do it for your ancestors. The struggle, they wanted to vote. So please. Okay, I'm going to stop right here.
I don't think you were gonna stop there. I think you could have kept going another hour and stuff. But no, you're absolutely right, though. Again, I think, and that's just showed all of us how so much of what we're talking about in the school is, in one sense, remembering the past, because we have to remember what our ancestors went through to get us to this point today, and not even just our ancestors. I think it's important to know. I tell my students at Claflin, in my day job as a historian at Claflin University in Orangeburg, South Carolina, the first, and I would say finest HBCU in South Carolina, but I digress. I tell my students, my grandmother couldn't vote because of the color of her skin. My parents grew up in the Jim Crow South. This stuff was not that long ago, and the way things are going right now, it might be right back here tomorrow.
Exactly right.
So we've got a lot of work to do, but again, the folks in this class are warriors willing to do that work. All right, up next is Sharon Sherman, who I think is actually on Zoom. Could you please unmute yourself and just speak briefly to the class? You're still muted.
Hi. Oops. Can't start that show. Hi. Oh, I was supposed to talk. Hi. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm still excited. I'm excited to hear Ms. Moak what she said. I'm Penn Center. I want to thank Bernie for inviting me, and I'm learning so much. And honestly, I'm trying not to be, I'm not going to say, but thank y'all. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, up next is Sam Baggett. Sam Baggett.
All right. Young people. Young, all right, I'll go back, 2, 3. All right, thank you. Where's the mic? Oh, here.
Everything I was gonna say completely disappeared.
Take it down.
I came into this class pretty late, like a few months late actually, and I had a lot of catching up to do. I found it in the local newspaper, and immediately, from the description, I was like, this is something that I want to be a part of. I think before taking this class, and being with you all, I was very frustrated with the way that things were, and I was involved with different things in like the Savannah area and the Beaufort area. But I was still of the impression that to make change, I had to look external to myself, and to find it someplace else rather than coming to the realization that no, you can kind of just do that from wherever you are, with who you are and what you're doing. And I think that this class was definitely a big motivation for me to start thinking about, okay, how do I start things from where I am. I do want to take the chance to plug that we're working towards a statewide publication right now. So if you guys would be interested in being involved with that, I think Cecil has the information in the signal link. And yeah, I've ran out of things to say, so I'm. Right. Right.
All right, up next is Alexis Alvarez. Alexis Alvarez. Give me 1 second. 5. Yes. Thanks. All right, on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Hello, my name is Alexis. I've really appreciated this course because it's hard to be optimistic in the South and see that there is strength in numbers down here, that we have each other. So thank you for all the work that you put into all the lessons, because it's so important to see how everything has been baked into like the cornerstone of our law. So yeah, continue to be disruptors and find optimism to carry on the revolution.
Okay, up next is Candace Dorr. Candace Dorr. All right, on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Hi, everyone. I just want to say that it's been an honor to be a part of this class and help facilitate the sessions at Penn Center in Beaufort. I've learned so much throughout the course, and I definitely feel better equipped to be an agent of change for South Carolina. Knowledge really is power, and it's something that people can't take away from you. So it's important to learn and always be interested in trying to make things better for, even if it doesn't happen for you, if it happens for the people that come behind you, then it's worth it. So I really appreciate this class and getting to know everybody. Thank you.
All right, up next is Christine Johnson. One, three.
Hello. I thought I would be able to predict when I would come up because I thought the names would be called in alphabetical order, but they weren't. I wanted to say thank you to first and foremost, Modjeska and everyone in the Progressive Network. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about my name because I registered to be a poll worker. And they said that I was not registered to vote and sent me the instructions on how to register. But I believe the problem came with what I'm looking at on the certificate. So my name is Christina, and I think the person who registered me put Christine, and they said it was all, the same. But now that everything has to match exactly, so I have to go and take care of that. But this is fine on the certificate. So I wanted to just quote Benjamin Franklin, and he says that an investment in knowledge will yield the best interest. And so I know that my investment will be paid for 10, 20, 30, 100 times over in my life going forward as I operate in truth and I share that truth with those who I interact with. Thank you.
Next, Cynthia Gregory Smalls.
Hello, how you doing, everyone? I just want to say, well, wait a minute. I got that wrong.
1, 2, 3. Right there.
Okay,
Here's the ones.
all right, thank you. I just want to quote, Mr. Waldo Henderson. One of the things he said is no one knows what all of us knows. And we know a lot. By going through the course, I've learned a lot. I'm also a researcher. And I was looking for a sign on whether I should run again for the school board in the Beaufort County School District. My thrust is young folks. I think they've been left out of some conversations that they need to be a part of. We always want our young folks to do something, but they really don't know what to do. So I think we can start with what Miss Modjeska wanted us to start with. I also think we can start with Mr. Green, even though he doesn't know right now, but I'm going to be a part of his program. My dissertation is the retention of the Gullah culture on the Sea Islands of South Carolina. I'm very proud of that culture. I'm a part of it. And I want that part to continue with our young folks. Or we're going to lose everything that we have, including not only our language, but our land. So by taking this course, Dr. Boone, I've learned a lot. And there's a lot I still need to know. But I want to let you know that maybe this is the sign for me to run again. I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And those were the people from the Penn Center. Again, I have to say it's been, yes, a lot of applause for the Penn Center overall. Again, it's been incredibly exciting to have these satellite sites this semester because it's really brought folks all across the state together, at least virtually. And today we're seeing that in person, which brings us to our other satellite site in Sumter, South Carolina, led by Mr. James Felder. And I've joked before that with the Modjeska Simkins School of Human Rights, it seems that one of the chief lessons we've learned this year is that the center of all history of South Carolina is not Columbia, it's not Charleston, it's not the Low Country, it's not Orangeburg, it is apparently Sumter. And, you know, I have to say, one of the joys of doing this course is not only being able to teach each and every one of you, but in turn, being able to learn from each and every one of you as well. The questions you all have raised in the course, the questions raised by folks at the Penn Center and from Sumter have been very, very illuminating.
Sharon is at Penn Center. Sharon, can you hear me? Or we do it later. We just need to know the show. Can't make anybody on the aisle there.
Yes, I think she's already spoken. Yeah, I think she's just on two different paths, but no big deal. All right, so let's go ahead and transition to the folks from Sumter. First, Deborah Dupree. Deborah Dupree. Oh, sister, okay, excellent.
While she's up there, you can get referred to also.
So this is for both Deborah Dupree and then also Teresa J. Yeah. All right.
I enjoyed the course and I learned a lot about our history, which I did not know. So I think this is a valuable course for South Carolina. And I will work with the group to with voting mostly, because that's what I work with. And I will work with that and keep that the young people voted and make our state a better state.
All right, and up next is the Dean of Sumter South Carolina Studies, Mr. James Felder.
One, two, three. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And since you mentioned Sumter, I thought I would have to let these people know why Sumter is so important. I was born and raised in Sumter. Lived in Columbia for the last 62 years, but I still go to church in Sumter. Sumter is the home of many of the leaders of this state. And I have to start with S.J. McDonald Sr., who was the founder of the state conference NAACP in 1939 in Sumter, along with Levi G. Byrd. Because of that era, everything else followed that. Sumter's the home of Ernest A. Finney, first Chief Justice of the South Carolina Supreme Court. It's the home of Jim Clyburn, 33 years in the US Congress now. It's the home of that great high school, Lincoln High School. Thank you, Terry. Right there. Lincoln has been around since 1874. Still in Sumter and now owned by the Alumni Association. We purchased the building for $800,000. Sumter is the home of Agnes Hildebrand Wilson, first Black Teacher of the Year in South Carolina in 1969, and who went on to preside over the merger of the two associations, the White Teachers Association and the Black Teachers Association. Sumter's the home of 5 Tuskegee Airmen. Sumter is the home of Bishop James Thomas. Why Bishop James Thomas' name is called? He was a Methodist preacher. Lived in Sumter, graduated from Lincoln High School and Claflin University, and became the first Black bishop over an all-white congregation in Iowa in 1972. He was the guinea pig. And finally, Sumter is the home of Mary McLeod, the film. You all know her, right? And you know everything she's always done, right?
Yes, sir.
But there's something you don't know that she did. I'm going to tell you. In 1941, when World War II began, she went to the wife of President Franklin Roosevelt, Eleanor. They were cook buddies. The two of them served on the National NAACP board. She said, Mr. Roosevelt, they're drafting these Black boys from the country and the city, and we have no Black generals, we have no Black admirals. What are you going to do about it? Can you do something? Go to your husband. She went to her husband, Franklin. Roosevelt was tall, gangly made, had a high-pitched voice. She said, we have no Black generals. In 2 months, we had our first Black general, Benjamin O. Davis Sr. Later on, we had his son, Benjamin O. Davis Jr., who headed the Tuskegee Airmen. Now, who said a little Black lady from South Carolina couldn't do something? So that's what Sumter is all about. We're very proud of it. And we wanted to extend this program to Sumter because we have a generation that do not know their history. We've lit a fire in Sumter, Dr. Green. We really got folk excited over there. So we are going to continue to support it. And I thank you for my certificate because I've known Modjeska Simkins all of my days. She welcomed me to Columbia when I first came to do voter registration. Brett and I were at the unveiling of her portrait in the State House back in 1992, I believe it was. But I still didn't have anything with her name on it. So now I have my certificate.
All right, and finally from Sumter, the Sumter satellite site, Gloria Rose Lee. Gloria Rose.
Okay, we got to turn this way. We're giving instructions. Wow, where do I begin? First, I would like to thank Jim, Mr. Jim Felder, for inviting me to take part in this. I truly love history. And I am a one woman of loving to help people. So in my helping people, God has blessed me to become a minister. I'm presently serving on the Sumter School Board. I work in prison. I am a mother and a grandmother. And I published one book, but I am still working on several others. But what I have gotten from this school and from these great instructors
is that I still got power to make change. We all have power to make change. Because everything that we have learned through the studies has given us a new attitude about where we're headed. We shouldn't be looking back at the negative, because some of the things I heard kind of made me angry, but I'm human. And if anybody said it didn't get angry about some of the things, something's wrong with you. But I got angry because I didn't know. And had I known, I would have did more. So as I worked with this voters registration, I was worked with voters registration as well. But when I started to run for the Sumter School Board, I worked with a dear sister, mother, family whom I adopted, and they adopted me, named Ms. Gloria Felder. She took me out my very first trip of looking and trying to get votes. And I met an older man who I don't know who he is yet today. But the first thing he told me, don't be afraid to run for school board. In order for you to win, you have to go where others won't go. Yeah. So that's what we have to do, y'all, go where others won't go, and we will win. Thank you.
All right, now we're going to transition to our next group of students. I'll go ahead. All right, before we go to that next group, I do want to recognize someone else who is on Zoom right now, Vernie Singleton. Vernie Singleton, could you please say a few words to the class? Go ahead on mute, please.
Vernie's an artist from Newburgh, and they have part at the museum of the Princeton.
Try unmuting one more time.
She did my thing, of course, because she doesn't have a computer.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hello, everybody, and congratulations to all the graduates and presenters. I'm Bernie Singleton from Hilton Head and the Penn Center Satellite class. I'm grateful for the Simkins School because it filled two voids for me, a people's history of South Carolina and an introduction to civics. I look forward to continuing my work as a writer of poetry, fiction, nonfiction, using oral histories and photographs. God bless you all.
Now, speaking of Zoom, the next group of students we're going to present their diplomas to are folks who have been virtual most, if not all, this semester. And fortunately, some of them are able to join us this afternoon. So this will be the first time they'll be meeting some of us today. But first, we want to go to Tabria Barnes. Tabria Barnes, could you go ahead and unmute yourself, please? Oh, she'll join us in one moment. So I think what I'll go ahead and do is let me go to the next student, who is Brandy Del Rio. Brandy Del Rio, come on up.
Scooting out. Hi. Hello.
Real quick, on for 1, 2, 3. That's how you.
Okay, hello. Photo op. Okay, cool. Hi guys. Hi. Good. Guys. Okay, anyway. Okay, so I'm recovering from a stem cell transplant, so I'm not exactly like fully able-bodied or whatever. But anyway, and it's also hot, guys. But anyway, I think for me, if you talk to my family, I have a big mouth, and I also have a lot of opinions, that probably don't agree with most of them. Yeah, my mom's holding her eyes. But anyway, so I'm here, but anyway, I think for me, this has been personal since week 2 of, our current president's, presidency. When he started, when he started like, what is it? We're sending people back. Yeah, thank you. Blank. Thank you so much grace in this room. But anyway, like when he started deporting people in that second week, it was just so personal for me because I'm the daughter of an immigrant, and that's not okay. But anyway, I am a poet, and I am very moved by spoken word, by any poetry whatsoever, and just having like-minded people around so that I can vent and air out all the junk that's in my brain. It's so worth hearing, even if it is junk. But because at the end of it, it turns into something pretty, something beautiful. But anyway, here you go, and thank you so much, Miss Modjeska, for existing.
All right, again, I think that's a wonderful reminder from Randy of all the different struggles and challenges we're facing right now. We are seeing the deportation of numerous peoples, including folks who are US citizens. So again, I think if there has never been a better lesson of we are all in this together in the last few months, I can't think of another one. I can say personally, I've had friends of mine who've been touched by this so-called administration in numerous ways. Friends of mine who are scientists, who are fellow historians, who are immigrants here, who are simply trying to survive day to day. And yet each and every one of us has been impacted in a negative way by this joke of a presidency. Yeah. And so it's going to be up to us to do something about it. Woo! All right. Okay, so up next is Mother Fleming.
Thank you, I've got my glasses.
Come on there, girl.
From those who know me from Zoom land, I'm from the upstate Pendleton, South Carolina. And a graduate of the other University of South Carolina, Clemson. I tend to ramble, so I brought, and as a former English teacher, I brought something to read. And I will tell you the person and the title of this book in just a minute. And this is from the section on activism. You have the right to protest for what is right. You know what I say. When you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have to say something. You have to do something. You have to push and pull and be prepared to make a little noise. When you see something that is not the way it should be, don't be afraid. Speak up, speak out, be courageous. It's a total commitment. No compromise, just go for it. And I think that's what this entire school was about. It's how Modjeska Simkins lived her life. It's how my sister's with me today. It's how we were taught by our parents to live our lives. And after I retired, I did it took me, and I'm still doing it, study on racism in America. And for those who were at the last meeting when we were talking about projects, I got up in arms as a former English teacher about the banning of books, because it goes back to one word, and that's racism. When George Floyd was killed, things started happening that caused the banning of books. It was called DeSantis in Florida and Moms for Liberty, an oxymoron, I think. But so I had to go to work in our school district
which I had worked in 36 years, and with our public library, who is still changing their development policy, and we are still speaking. And I come down to Columbia to the State Board of Education meetings, and I just want to put a plug in that next year, please do not vote for Ellen Weaver as Superintendent of Education. But what I read from is John Lewis's book of reflections, and it's called, and I'll leave you with this, Carry On.
All right, I want to now go back to Sabria Barnes. Sabria, are you ready? Okay, Sabria, go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
Hi.
Oh, am I muted?
Go ahead, you're on.
Oh, okay, sorry. I'm actually in my dorm room right now. I will be attending Claflin University in the fall. So I'm here for the summer. Sorry if it sounds noisy. We have a lot of fans going on because it's 90 degrees outside. But this is my second time taking classes at the Modjeska Simkins School. I think one word I have is thankful. I took it my junior year. I took it this year. I had a lot more difficulty taking the classes. I had a lot of personal issues, things like graduation, coming here. But all of the material I learned, I can confidently say I have never, ever learned in any class in my K through 12 experience. And I'm extremely grateful for that. And I do plan to take these classes again. And yeah, thank you guys so much. And as someone who received a scholarship to come here, I would also like to thank Mr. Brett. I don't know if he's here today. I think he is here today, but he knows who I am. Yeah, he's there somewhere. I don't want to prolong it too long, but yeah, thank you guys so much. And I plan to major in African American Studies and Political Science. So this is all very, 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 very helpful.
So Sabria, just because you are going to Claflin University, I'm just going to warn you right now, since you're majoring in African American Studies, you're going to see a lot more of me over the next 4 years.
Dr. Green, can I just interject real quick? That Alan Stotler and Keith Gray are responsible for several scholarships, both this year and last year, and I think the year before. And I just want to thank you. And you also
I'm glad you pointed it out, Becky, that again, those scholarships are really important for some of our students. And again, the financial support of the school is so very critical to keeping it going and making it the success it is today. Okay, up next is Christine Gatinola. Christine?
Nice to meet you. 1, 2, 3.
I just want to express my gratitude to everyone, all the people behind the scenes and everyone who makes this happen. Thank you so much.
Okay, next is Loretta McKelvey-Felder.
Green.
Oh, you.
One, two, three.
And that's what I have to say to my classmates, to the people who did the research with this group this year, and for people for sharing their living experiences who have been out here in the field for like year after year. I'm not making myself out to be a young kid. I remember the civil rights movement, being a part of it and how things were. And I left South Carolina as an 11-year-old So I miss South Carolina history and what this course has done for me. It's just amazing. Knowing your history is empowering. That's why we need to fight for education. We need to fight for human rights because, as Dr. Adams said, human rights are interrelated and overlapping. And what I wanted to do is advocate for equity in healthcare. Some people call it racism in healthcare. Some people say it's apartheid in healthcare. But it's very difficult to have a regard for people or not hold them in equal regard and not have that enter into other aspects of your life. What's out there in the atmosphere finds its way into the way we conduct ourselves, regardless of what it is we're doing. So thank you, Dr. Green, Brett Bursey, Becky, the entire school for all you've done for our community.
Up next is LaKenya Young.
Hi, everyone. Hi. This is a wonderful class to look back at the 4 months, the entire duration. The media wouldn't cover that all of us from different social economic backgrounds could do this, like be in unity and one accord, learning about us coming together, learning about the history that's so prevalent today that it may have happened 20, 30 years ago, but you can look at it's happening right now. So I would caution everyone to take the knowledge that we have, no matter what market, whatever area you are in the marketplace, whether it be business, education, law, healthcare, go out and do something. If you are going to yell it from the mountaintop, yell it from the mountaintop. If you're going to do it on a social media network, do it on a social media network, in the law rooms, wherever you are, share the information. Because Ms. Felder told me about this on a whim. I'm coming here to do this and I'm going to participate. I was like, oh, I want to go too. Tell me more about this Modjeska Simkins School of Human Rights. And that was, the rest was history. Thank you. And thank you everyone for fighting the good fight. And as I find my place here in my marketplace here in South Carolina, I'm going to do what is necessary. So thank you and God bless you all.
You know, I wish that everyone in the room could see the view that I have of the audience here this afternoon. Because as Ms. Young just mentioned a moment ago, this is really a tapestry of South Carolina that we're seeing right now. White, Black, immigrants, folks who are from the state, folks who are from outside the state, even folks like me who are from that weird place called Georgia. There's such a diverse array of people in the room for this afternoon. And this is a reminder, yes, please. This is a reminder that contrary to what a lot of people across the country think when they see an election map every 4 years, when the clock hits 7 o'clock, at 7 o'clock in 2 seconds, they call South Carolina for the Republican Party every 4 years. But contrary to popular belief, just because this state is a so-called red state, it doesn't mean there aren't people who are here to do the right thing. And again, this is such a great group of people that I've been privileged and fortunate to teach over these last few months. And I'm especially excited to again, introduce some of the folks who've been in the Grow building the entire year. Now, for those of you who've been on Zoom or in Sumter or at the Penn Center, you've seen some of the technical difficulties we've had over the course of these few months. The magic of the internet is sometimes also a curse. But there is something about being in the Grow building week after week, month after month, where you get to see how the sausage is truly made. And so as I welcome you to the podium again, congratulations on not only finishing out this semester, but finishing it out while being in this building week after week. First, Amanda Beach. Amanda, please come up.
Congratulations. One, two, three.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see everybody here for graduation today. This class has been a good reminder. Sometimes I think, or prior to this class, even years before, I used to think, oh man, we got to pick it back up and keep doing the work, or start doing the work again. But I think it's more of a reminder that we're not picking it back up. We're continuing on, we're carrying on. As Mona reminded us of the work that has come before us. And it's also a reminder that we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We just need to pull from those who were here before us and keep building, keep adding, and just keep at it. Because it's at this point, they don't want to stop, so we can't.
Right.
So yeah, just carry on.
Okay, up next, Katie Beck. Katie Beck.
Two, three.
Thank you. I have some comments written down because I'm not one of those people who can just pull them out. And I'll see you. For all of you I haven't met yet in person, hi, I'm Katie. Hi. I haven't been super vocal this year because when I'm learning, I have to absorb for a while. And it has been a nonstop barrage of learning, and thank you for that, Dr. Green. When I signed up for the Modjeska Simkins School in February, I was feeling more helpless than I probably ever have felt before. It seemed like every day there was a new horror and the rest of the population didn't care or was actively cheering it on. I hope that the school would give me an idea of what I could do to fight back against the cruelty and ignorance that seemed to have gained so much momentum in our society. What the Modjeska Simkins School taught me was that the cruelty and ignorance and attempts to subjugate anybody but rich white men are baked into the system. They are a feature, not a bug, as people have said before. But it also taught me that with every generation, there have been people who are committed to finding a better way. Dark times have been here before, and people like Modjeska Simkins have stepped up to fight for equality and fairness and the rights of everyone. So I would like to thank all of you, Dr. Green, Brent, Becky, all of our guest speakers for teaching us about where we have been and where we can be, and for giving us that hope. And I'd like to thank all of my classmates for showing me that there are people who care and people who are actually trying to make things better, not just for themselves, but for everyone. And I look forward to working with you all to make some positive changes to our community and beyond.
Go ahead, Brett.
Important housekeeping detail, Dr. Green. Shortly, we're going to be able to have a celebratory cake and beverages, get to know each other a little better. I'd like to see the hands of people that are going to stay for pizza. I gotta order the pizza now.
Is anybody counting?
All right. No problem, Brett. After all, the pizza is the most important part of the ceremony. Exactly. All right, up next is James Carpenter. James Carpenter.
One, two, three. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Green, and thank you, everyone. I learned a lot during the Justice School, but I learned that I have a couple things in common with Dr. Green. We're both from Georgia. We both like history. History is not fun. people would ask me, did you enjoy the class? And enjoy is not the word that I get from going to the Modjeska school. But I'll tell you something that made it easier. It was being with the people who were going through this with us. And it was also being able to look up at the screen and see the people who were in the rooms in Penn Center and in the room in Sumter, and knowing that this group of people was working on this together. So I thank all of you, and I thank Dr. Green, and I thank all the people who make the tech work week after week, because that's not an easy thing as well. Thank you much.
All right, up next is Lydia Catton. Lydia Catton.
All right. I didn't know I was gonna have to say anything, so I don't know. This is kind of the experience that I needed, I guess. I like grew up here, very homeschooled and very conservative. And I essentially just started my life in this live like Jesus thing for a very long time, and I kept living like Jesus, and I kept living like Jesus, and then all of a sudden everyone around me was like, you're doing the wrong thing, and you're not really supposedly living the way that they said, even though I was. And so I searched for a few years trying to find like people who could kind of point me in the right direction, because this state is really difficult in that vein. And so I was like, I didn't really learn history, y'all. Like, I really didn't. And it looks like from everybody else, I guess the public school system doesn't teach it either. So I thought that I was gonna come in here like not like that my mind was gonna be like extremely blown by what I was learning. All it did was like confirmed what I was feeling, if that makes sense. And so I am super grateful to have been here and like met all the people who were in this building. It was like the first couple of weeks, like we formed this group chat and we were talking and there were things happening, and I'm really hoping that like from now on, I've found a pocket of people in this state that like I can do the work that I've been struggling to try and find like camaraderie with, if that makes sense. So I guess let's just go forth. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
And I think "let us go forth" is a great slogan for the Modjeska School from here on out. That's absolutely what we're going to be doing. Up next is Taisha Cookies. Taisha.
Agreed.
All right, great. 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. So giving honor to God first, I'd like to give honor to Becky, honor to Brett, honor to Dr. Green himself, and Mr. Felder, and also, I'm not sure if the guest speakers were here, people that taught us, guest speakers, to them for giving us wonderful lessons about history of South Carolina and the United States of America. I just have to figure out how I'm gonna apply that, as Martin Luther King said, where do we go from here? I have to try to figure it out. I have some ideas, but I do appreciate the class. I'm kind of behind on some of my reading. I'm still trying to. There's so many articles and videos and stuff to watch. And I work in a school district, so I would take my articles with me to school, but had a break, see if I could read some, but it didn't always work out. And then I have another job, so I'm still trying to read all these articles that I have and see how I can apply it to my life. But I enjoyed the school, and I look forward to another year of Modjeska Simpson. And thank you, Mr. James Felder, because you're like one of the pioneers in South Carolina.
Yeah.
I don't think we really I don't think people really appreciate like older black people who fought and did things for us.
Yeah.
But I do, so you're like one of the living pioneers. South Carolina.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Up next, Dr. Rhonda Grego. Congratulations. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
You get John. Yeah.
Oh, well, you could never tell. My palms were sweaty, is what I said to Dr. Green. And that's a little surprising, I guess, in a way. Yesterday, I celebrated the 1-year anniversary of my last day at my office after a 40+ years career as a college educator. So you think, but not have sweaty palms. I spent a lot of time up in front of students and with students, though. I was really a believer in hands-on education. And I don't like the word retirement, so I've been avoiding that word too, because I'm not retiring. I'm not a retiring person. And I don't see anything ending. And indeed, my students would not be surprised to know that one of the first things I did in retirement was go back to school. And I filled notebooks full of notes. Tried to do the readings like Taisha, didn't make it through all of them, but hope to go back and read through. Took a lot of notes here, even when I'd already taken notes on those things after reading. And I was thinking about why that is. Part of it is the way I am as a learner. I like to see things in my own handwriting, and I've known that for a lot of years about myself as a learner. But another part of it is processing. And I think somebody else said that it's going to take a while to process, right? And I remember my first year in graduate school, what was written in my file was, she's very quiet, but she seems to know what's going on. And I felt a little bit that way here too, because I could just feel my mind wrapping itself. And I'm a South Carolinian and went to a historically Black high school. I'm a graduate of Wilson High School in Florence, South Carolina. Dr. Allie E. Brooks is still around, still bumps into my mom in the local Piggly Wiggly and asks how I'm doing. And I also was for 10 years professor at Benedict College. So I've had many opportunities to learn African-American history, taught African-American literature. So what was it about the Modjeska School? It was bringing together all at one time, this timeline, and being confronted with it in a short, compressed amount of time. And it's a lot to process indeed. But boy, am I glad that I did it, because I do feel like, rather than retirement, that being in this class, seeing the historical grounding, that so much of what's happening now, as someone else has said very well, this is not new. It's been here a long time. It's endemic to our system. And I feel like for many folks in my community, because now I'm working with people who aren't students, they're my neighbors and my community members. I'm not their teacher. How do I deal with the disconnect that I feel in them? A disconnection from their voice, a disconnection from our history. How do I deal with that without, and part of the feelings that I would leave the school with were feelings of anger. And I think, where's that anger coming from? And it's that anger at realizing, it's something that made me angry as a teacher when I worked with students who were disconnected from their voices, disconnected from their own thoughts, disconnected from the value of what they bring to the world. And of course, a lot of what we did in this class is realize where that disconnection is coming from today. So I'll be processing that and figuring out how to work with that as I move forward. I'm already working with some organizations in town. I'm a historian, a kind of historian and researcher, also still trying to educate about some resources at Lower Richland community. So I just want to thank Dr. Green, thank Modjeska Simkins, thank the Progressive Network, We need more of this education, and boy, do I wish a whole bunch more people had it. So thank you.
Thank you so much for those kind words. And up next is Bronwyn Hartman.
One, two, three.
Hey guys.
Hi.
I just want to thank everybody here and the program and the fact that this whole network exists. I think it's a wonderful thing. It is so necessary, especially right now. Because the more it seems we get online, the more isolated, divided we kind of end up. And it's a lot easier to divide and conquer.
Yes.
So I think it's a lot easier with this community to meet people, to connect, and it's a lot easier to have courage when you have a community. And there's a lot more ideas in the room, and I think there's a lot more we can do than with each other than we could have on our own.
Next up, Layla Hadari.
One, two, three. Thank you.
I also can't remember words that I want to say. So as so many of us have noted, I've also appreciated learning a fuller, truer version of my home state's history. I've also appreciated gathering with you all and participating in this shared experience as part of a collective, especially since right in the middle of this course, I was laid off from my job because as a scientist who works on environmental justice, that was on the chopping block. It was a pretty isolating, discouraging experience, but coming here, getting grounded in the truths of this ongoing struggle that you're committed to gives me hope. And I'm looking forward to continuing to get to know you all and work together and knit together our own network, if you will. If you see me in class, you know that's what I'm doing. So yeah, looking forward to continuing this. Thank you.
All right, up next is Stefan Ingram.
One, two, three. Thank you.
I don't want to do this part. I've always enjoyed history, but it's always been kind of a flat two-dimensional thing that was separate from our daily lives. And every class that we had, I learned more and more, often depressingly, how tightly interconnected we actually are with our history. So I really appreciate that. And I guess one day we will be someone else's history if our species survives. So let's try to be on the right side of it.
We'll make sure for next year's publication material, we'll say, that's the Simkins School, in case our species survive. That'll be a good hook to bring in people. I understand your sentiment though, trust me. Up next is Mariana Leon.
Well, I think I have always enjoyed also learning history. I even have taught history, but I think my approach this time was different. I came here knowing that I still kind of new in town after almost 3 years of living in South Carolina, and I just didn't want to just know what happened here in the past and how to choose a position a political position now, but also I think through history, I wanted to know how to connect more with the community with I'm living in a daily basis. I'm in love of life stories. I think I'm believing more and more that my purpose is to hearing more about the stories that everybody is building every day. But also I wanted to know what is the story of a community. I think one of the biggest dangers, as a Nigerian writer says, is to believe that there is only one single story, because usually that stories are made by the ones that have power. So being here, I knew that I was going to get closer to a critical perspective, to others kind of stories, and that we're going to give voice to the ones that usually don't have a platform to say what they think out loud. So I really want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to learn a bit more. I have a lot to keep learning. As many have said, I still have many readings to do. But for real, I think this was a great invitation to still learning and getting closer to this community.
Okay, up next is Alex Markowski.
One, two, three.
Well, I'm gonna start by saying I feel like I'm the black sheep in this group from the standpoint that I have never really enjoyed learning much about history. But I will say this, I have very much enjoyed this class, and it's a little curious to say that I have enjoyed it, because what would be enjoyable about learning about systems of oppression? But I think it's been being in the room with others that want to move forward in a productive way, and understanding that what we are learning in this moment helps further that goal for all of us. So the community that, you know, we have been able to forge here, and hopefully we'll continue to forge in the future, has really been what's been enjoyable about it. But I do want to thank everybody that's been integral in putting this on, from Dr. Green to Brett Percy to Becky to the Progressive Network to Dr. Felder and others that have presented throughout the year. You know, without you guys, we wouldn't know this, we wouldn't have access to this. So thank you very much for all of that. And I look forward to forging a path forward in the future.
Well, real quick, I want to recognize in Zoom, Haley Weaver. Haley, could you go ahead and unmute yourself briefly, please? Haley, are you there? Going once? Twice? Okay. All right. Well, again, congratulations to all of you who have graduated from the 2025 edition of the Modjeska Simkins School of Human Rights. Give yourselves a round of applause. Again, this class only works and only exists with each and every one of you participating in it every single year. Again, it has been the common folk of South Carolina who have made this state what it can be. And as folks were coming up again in diplomas, I thought to myself that one group of folks who should take this course are the folks in the State House.
Yeah.
We can make excuses for some of our younger folk not knowing the history of South Carolina, but there is zero excuse for the quote unquote lack of knowledge, end quote, that some of our leaders in this state seem to show on a day-to-day basis. But that's not the bad thing. The bad thing is that they know better. They know better. Some of them know this history. They know this history quite well, and they decided to do is to ignore that history and go in a very different direction, to make more bad history, to make it almost impossible for folks to learn the real history of this state in public schools in the Palmetto State. That's what makes the Modjeska Simkins School of Human Rights so important. Because it will be places like ours where this history will live on. It'll be places like Black churches, it'll be places like civic organizations, it'll be places like your dinner tables where this history will live on. It must live on, it must endure. Now, that's not going to be an easy challenge for us to take up, but it is one we have to take up, especially right now. Because what we're seeing is both on a local, on a state, and on a federal level. Our government is trying to shape the history that we learn and make it an unusable past. A past that leaves out 99% of the people in this room. A past that only privileges rich, wealthy, white men. Those same men who today are making life miserable for the rest of us. Fortunately, you've got folks like Brett Percy, who have spent their entire lives trying to get themselves. Before Brett comes up, I want to thank both him and Becky Robbins for not only their work with the school this year, but for really giving their entire lives over to making the world a better place. I don't, give them both another applause. Being an agent of change, being a change maker, being an activist is often a thankless job. And it is especially a thankless job in a place like South Carolina. So to do that kind of work here in the belly of the beast is something that should be admired and encouraged. And we hope that there are folks here who will pick up the baton and continue that work. But for right now, let me bring on up Mr. Brett Percy.
I did not pay him to say all that. And some of the things you've heard about me are true, but I do want to do something I rarely do, which is correct Dr. Green. The people in the legislature don't have a clue. They really don't. Because the famous South Carolina motto that we have on the back of our roadshow trailer says, Southern by the grace of God, stupid by choice. People that actually know what's going on have been smart enough to keep us all stupid so we don't find out what's going on and minimally adequately educate us. And I had the opportunity to speak when they introduced the anti CRT, the racial Dr. Green? Critical race theory. And that I spoke at the legislative hearing by the House sponsors. There were 5 of them. The only 2 from South Carolina were born in the 90s. They didn't go to segregated school in South Carolina like I did, weren't raised under Jim Crow like so many of the gray hairs in this room were. The other people, none of them came from the South at all. I can't remember, but they were from like Pennsylvania and whatnot. They didn't have a clue about South Carolina. And so I'm just telling you that because we're swimming up some really swift waters when people can make up stuff and lie a lot, whether it's your president or his cabinet or the news now. And so you have to find your own way. And the next thing I'm questioning about Dr. Green saying I did this to leave the world a better place. I did this for myself. All of this work and this suffering has been for me realizing that my responsibility on this planet, certainly as a white male, middle-class American, Martin Luther King referred to this country as the greatest purveyor of violence in the world, and it is. And I've been in refugee camps that my government paid for the bombs to kill people. I am responsible for this mess. We are all responsible for this mess. But I took it on personally and had the opportunity to do what people in other cultures, I think, that are much more civilized, to spend time in the cave, so to speak. The native people went off when they were young to find their name. My guru spent time a month in a mountain in France when he was 13 in 1920. But I had the opportunity to spend 2 years in prison for first offense misdemeanor, spray painting on my draft board wall in 1970, and 6 months in solitary confinement. That gave me a lot of time to think. And I was obviously already a thinking person, or I would not have been in jail. And so what I came up with is that I am the first front in my revolution, and that we need a movement that's not predicated on reacting to the bad things. They'll just keep throwing bad things at the wall, confuse you, you react, and nothing changes. And that's exactly what's happening now. And so what we've got to do, what you've got to do, is liberate yourself. Because if we don't have liberated individuals that understand that their role on the planet is to free themselves, to be able to, and this is the magic words here, this is what I want to facilitate the transition of the age.
Yes.
I think Dr. Green mentioned about how the other side of the coin of chaos is opportunity, and that ability to be able to make radical systemic changes is upon us. And you know that Steve Bannon is a lot smarter than Donald Trump. And Stephen Miller, I don't know who dug him up out of an old Nazi writer. But these people are on their way to their transition. I knew this was coming. People for 2,000 years have known this is coming. Some people talk about the dawning of the age of Aquarius and the Hindu religion. It's the end of the age of Kali Yuga. This is we are coming out of a 2,000-year period in the Hindu book of Kali, the goddess of Kali, materialism. Kali is pictured with bleeding skulls in one hand and a sword in the other. That's what we're coming out of, folks. The last homeless Palestinian I know, or the first one that I was aware of, that was hunted down and killed in Palestine, was this guy named Jesus. He was a revolutionary. He was modeling what you could be as a human being. That's my mission on the planet, is to be all that I can be, not by joining the U.S. Marine Corps. And I want you to know, and I've used the term here, this is a war calling, teaching you what you're going to go out and speak to in the communities. We're giving you the background to be able to understand and feel that which it is you need to be liberated and have the audacity to go and talk to people about registering and voting. They don't need to know all the weedy stuff. We don't have time to educate everyone. Our job, our primary job, is to set the stage for what comes next. And so what we were trying to do the first 16 classes is talk about the history that shaped our reality. And there are some people that are here today that wanted to know what they could do today or yesterday or whenever they ask the question. And they'll be better prepared, you'll be better prepared to take action now, because you have the opportunity to take that learning and apply it with specific tools that we'll teach. We'll have short courses over the summer. If we can add some, I think we just figured out we should add one on Gullah Geechee culture. And that this is the continuum. It shouldn't stop. We need your help. I've been retiring now for, oh geez, this is the 11th year of my retirement. I'm working harder than ever. And we really do need some people to step up. But we will have these classes that you can use the data that we will train you that's in your neighborhood. We've got the best data stuff in the state. And so stay tuned, folks. The best is yet to come, including the pizza. And Hassan is going to come up and give us another inspiring bit of spoken word. And then we're going to eat, drink, and be merry. So don't leave. Thank you. Becky Robbins is the one that makes me look good. So I want to thank Becky for staying with me all these years.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
While he's coming up, we really want to get a group picture of everybody and then another picture of the 10 folks by their van before everybody leaves. So please, before everybody scatters to where you need to go. I know it's been a long program, but go to the back. Get up.
Hi, I'm back. How y'all doing? I drove all the way here from North Carolina this morning. So excuse me if I seem heated. Also stayed up at night. My My room flooded also this week, so that was one of the first. But you know what's crazy about it, right? I was, you know, cause I be having all these plans in my head, right? So I wasn't even supposed to be in my room when the storm hit, which was very interesting because it would have ruined all of my stuff. But I was in my room and I was able to like move things around, so everything is fine. And it's like great how like the universe works, how God works, and has you right where you need to be. And so I was where I need to be. Man. Where I need to be now. No matter how many tired I may seem. It's because I was taking an extra nap too. I was like extra tired, so I was like kind of like not really getting emotional when I needed to be emotional because I was in bed. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna do a couple poems and then we're gonna go eat food because we're all hungry, right? So this is a poem that I wrote about North Carolina. Technically, I've only ever lived in North Carolina, but you know, I feel like South Carolina and North Carolina, like we're neighbors. So if you feel some of this, you know, my state is known for its food. It's barbecue, 4-hour sauce, the flavor, Carolina's finest dining. You haven't lived until you've had Bowberry biscuits or Dane's chicken and waffles. I grew up in backyard cookouts on summer days. Barely burnt chicken off the grill with mac and greens. Family recipes and front yard football games. We were raised from the fields to the table, from the table to the kitchen. Like you either bought a dish, made a dish, or did the dishes, but everybody ate a plate or two and laughed and danced the day away. See, my people have always been easy to break bread with. We are an eating people and nothing brings us together like food. In class, after parties, Sundays, after service, repasts, after wakes, tailgates before the games, any free day we can come together to celebrate our flavor, our greatness, our survival in a hostile environment because my state is always in a state of disrepair, always trying to tear us apart. My people keep drowning in a wave of rebuilding, redevelopment, done carved both sides of town out the ground. My state is known for the type of policies that will air out a block without lifting a finger. Old school Tar Heel blue Democratic policies that will build colleges on plantations and name middle schools after racists that set fire to Black communities. That's Carolina character. Known for the Wilmington race riots, where a thriving Black town disappeared like those old summer days. Reconstruction era rebuilding barbecue to ash, burnt way worse than the chicken we used to eat, and it's a hard sight to swallow. How they hate our alchemy, the way we turn spite into treasure, or want our magic, the way our touch transmutes pain into records, and we can turn everything into gold and heal from anything they're tossed aside. So that's why they leave nothing behind. So my state is known for waste. Lakes of pig shit that overflow into our water sources and communities. Known for stealing, restaurants like Cookout trying to sell our experience back to us, discounted like it could ever compare. Known for starving, for empty fields and empty stomachs, treating us like we're only good for the kitchen, the fields, but not the food flowing from it. Funding food deserts before food justice. 1 in 5 children go hungry here. 1 in 3 if they're Black. Southern hospitality, the way they don't have to say they still hate sharing lunch counters with us. Always want to come to the cookout, but never want to bring a dish. Not that we really want their food anyway. Actions speak louder than words, and these people have always been hard to break bread with. Every meal they invite us to ends with our bodies on the menu. Ask the Cherokee tribe's made appetizer, where every nigga picked at picnics to be strung up, barbecued, and left for the town to see. It's a hard sight to swallow. I don't think I can do these last two off the dome.
Yes.
Think so?
Go for it.
We're gonna see. The sun is shining and the sky is blue. I can do anything when I'm with you. I can do anything when I'm with you. I can do anything. So do not tell me that I cannot sing. Do not tell me that I cannot sing, for you would be wrong anyhow. Anyone can sing, can pitch their voice into open space and vibrate air molecules to the tune of their soul. Anyone can sing, you just might not like how it sounds. And if you don't, keep that to yourself. I am no longer acting to be consumed. I am no longer singing to be heard. I am singing because it makes me happy and I am not happy for you. There is a song speaking through my spirit.
Amen.
Today it sounds like just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. You and I. It sounds like a Steve Lacy vocal solo. No. It sounds like a Kurt Franklin, Steve Lacy, Cupid Shuffle remix, breakdancing in my soul. There is a beatboxing in my chest. A party in my heart that started a few playlists ago. A 4-story soiree with the top floor DJ and a band at the bottom. I invited the whole neighborhood to hang, but no one came, so it is just me here dancing alone, along to a single verse of the same song, making elevator music of my mind. So when I repeat these lines like they're pumping blood through my veins, it should sound like music to your ears. Well, haven't you heard that? Always trying to take my breath away, and every day they have failed. My hum beat victory chant. Do me the honor of joining in this celebration. Show me the song in your breath, or at the very least, do not make yourself a nemesis of my elation. Do not join the enemies of my state, for they have suffered nothing but defeat at my hands, and I do not wish that for you. They will say that they only have to silence me to win forever. They will not win today. They will not win all if you sing with me. So sing with me. Or at the very least, do not tell me that I can't. So I can do anything when I'm with you. I can do anything when I'm with you. Y'all are the first people that ever actually sing. Nobody has ever done that ever. Like, I've never, like, that was crazy. Anyway. That meant something to me. Like, I can't even describe what that meant to me. Anyway, what I want you to know is this. To abrogate is to bask in the sun. To freshen or disinfect by exposure to sunlight. It takes 30 to 60 minutes for the sun to clean an item. It takes 8.5 minutes for solar warmth to reach our planet. And there are almost 93 million miles between the Earth and our star. My spirit has developed a taste for sunshine, bathing in the rays and feeling my skin drink in the daylight. Summer is here and the warmth with it. So every day I try to hold on to every drop of light, of heat that I can get. And there is a word for this. To abrogate, apricity is the feeling of the warmth of the sun on a winter's day, technically. Despite cold air, solar heat can raise objects to much higher temperatures. My depression is a seasonal temptation asking me to follow my worst thoughts down a rabbit hole, but I have been finding joy in the darndest of places, finding it one day at a time, laying in my bed, finding it one day at a time, laying somewhere out in the field in a sunbeam, half touching grass, half on a blanket, sharing half a bag of apricots with you. Or laying in my bed, watching Naruto, going out with friends, driving down dark how. Depression has shown itself a seasonal temptation, asking me to follow my worst thoughts down a rabbit hole, but I have been finding joy in the darndest of places. Finding it one day at a time, laying somewhere out in a field, in the sunbeam, half on a blanket, half touching grass, sharing half a bag of apricots with you. Or going out with friends, eating dinner, driving down dark highways at midnight, laying in bed, watching Naruto. I have been working to control the shadows trying to possess me, trying to paralyze me when I speak and choke me when I speak. Trying to paralyze me when I sleep and choke me when I speak. Resting has become a lot more restful since I made a goal out of it. Feels less like lazing and more like an accomplishment, and there is joy in that. I found premium gas for $3.68 on the way over here Last week, I made a goal to cook more. Yesterday, I made nachos. My sister is old enough to cook breakfast or make cakes near as good as her mother's. I have friends that will come when I call them, or when I don't call them. You hear my words or my silence.
All right.
Tomorrow isn't promised, but today is a good day. Almost good enough to make me forget the bad. When shit starts to drag in the cold of the night, what I tell myself is, this too shall pass. This twilight before the dawn. Take a second to appreciate today. Food, water, heat, grass, and all this fresh air. I say, no matter how frigid your season seems, how cloudy this day gets, the very next chance you have, go stand in the sun. Give her a chance. Let her raise your temperature. In less than 9 minutes, she will travel over 93 million miles just to kiss your face. With her an hour, she will do her best to wash all that darkness away.
Wow.
I appreciate y'all having me. Now it's time to eat and be merry. And I see a cake over there too. So make sure you eat some cake. Thank you for having me.